on the MIC with Elections Hotwired on the World's Got Problems with Fresh Jack. It's 17 weeks to Election Day, and there's an angry, disgusted electoral mood in the air as the economy continues to tank and gasoline approaches $5 a gallon, and Bush-Cheney continue their idiotic Orwellian war of terror, unimpeached, not even censured, or remotely investigated by a corporatized Congress led by the wholly bought-out House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who, like so many of her colleagues, is deeply on the take from AIPAC, which may be why the Green Party of San Francisco this week has endorsed anti-war activist and war mom Cindy Sheehan over House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to represent San Francisco in Congress. Sheehan is, of course, an absurd long shot against the huge dollars backing Pelosi. Just Google up the race. There's no press on this race. And what exists degrades Sheehan to the extent that she becomes a non-entity. But there are a couple of interesting precedents for the possibility that Pelosi, though sitting Speaker of the House, could be booted out of Congress. Just 4 years ago it happened to Tom Daschle. It was startling. He was Speaker of the House after the 2000 coup d'etat and began these 7.5 years of Democratic Party pandering and appeasing Bush-Cheney by saying he wanted to extend an olive branch across the aisle to Bush and company after they stole the election. Daschle was dumped by the voters of South Dakota, and we remind you that South Dakota Native Americans played a key role in that 2004 contest in which a small group of the concerned took down the Speaker of the House. And a second precedent some will remember is that the city of San Francisco was where the first and arguably most significant Nader protest vote in contemporary politics took place, not the election of 2000, but the 9% of San Franciscans who voted for Nader in 1996 against Bill Clinton's second term, sending a message to the White House and launching Nader's now 3 consecutive presidential bids. So could the city by the Bay cast one of the very few voting expressions in this election against the foreign wars, against the war in Iraq, by dumping Pelosi for Sheehan, mother to a victim of those wars? The SF Greens hope so. And speaking of the Green Party, their convention, which takes place in Chicago this weekend, has a budget of $115,000. Compare that to the Democrats, who are roundly assailed by the New York Times this week for being $6 million over budget for their convention in Denver later this summer. And news from the world of polling: according to a new Rasmussen poll, 41% of Americans consider themselves Democrats and 32% Republicans. Candidates typically get something like 90% of the votes of people who identify with their party. By way of a contrast here, in 2004 on Election Day, Democrats led by just under 2%. In 2006 it was 6%, and of course they swept. A gap of 9% might translate into 3 percentage points more in votes for the Democrats nationally than in 2006, which was a great year for them. Of course, these numbers could change by Election Day, and other polls have Obama up 4 points and doing exceptionally well with Latinos, Chicanos, and Hispanics, many of whom originally polled for Hillary Clinton, but have now swung to Obama as the Democratic Party nominee. The FISA debate was put off because of Jesse Helms' death, but Obama has never seemed likely to really fight it down, despite blogs led by Glenn Greenwald writing at Salon, that's worth checking out, and an interesting piece by Tom Hayden on Common Dreams. I'll drop the link below the broadcast. For Elections Hotwired, this is MTK on the MIC. I'm out.